storytelling is probably one of the few rare magical things left in this world. Think about it. How can you get a human attention? Your message has to be really, really good and compelling, brief and to the point. And I don't know of any other tools than the story, a good captivating story which can attract people. And it's probably one of the most lost arts. We're losing that art. So if you have 7 seconds and you don't have story, it would be very, very difficult to get anybody's attention.
Welcome to Business Leaders with Soul, a podcast showcasing the change makers and innovators of our times who are ushering in a new age of conscious business. They're authentic, they're original, and their message connects with the people they're here to serve. Be inspired by these futurists and make the difference that you, too, came here to make. And now, here's your host, Lee Aldridge.
Hi, everybody. I'm Lee Aldridge with Soul Story Creative, where we don't tell you who to be. We show the world who you are. And like any good story, it has a lot to teach us. And with us today to share his story is Ed Bilat of Soul of Storytelling Sales. Ed is an inspiring speaker, consultant, master storyteller, and sales leadership entrepreneur. He's had over 26 years of hands-on knowledge in the science of building and implementing sales training and leadership programs for organizations across the globe. Ed's presentations and workshops are approachable and captivating, and his delivery is emotional and impactful. His workshops focus on helping business leaders inspire positive change, actionable change, while creating competitive advantages through the storytelling experience. Now, Ed, you have walked the walk, and I know you are excited to share these stories. I love your stories. I've been in your workshops, and it is wonderful. So please tell us a little more. Welcome. And I just wonder, have you had a good story of sales come under your radar recently that you could kick us off with?
Oh, thank you so much, Lee. After introduction like this, I don't actually need to do anything, right?
I know. It's just great.
I think we should do it more often, right? Because that was very, very good. Absolutely delighted to be here. And, I live and breathe stories. I always hunt for the good ones. And there is one story which just keeps coming back the last couple of weeks. I don't know why. But I think it's interesting. So here is this. So there is that store. It's a high-end liquor store in London, England. Okay, and they sell vintage wine and a very high-end expensive liquor. And one day there's that bus which comes in front of the store. Right? They open the door and there's about 60 people come to the store. Nobody speaks English. They dressed in strange clothing except for the driver. The driver turns on his parking lights, and then he asks one of the sales associates, listen, I really need to use a bathroom. And while I use the bathroom, can you watch my bus? Because I have to go and find a parking for the bus. And then sales associate, 60 people, it says, yeah, okay, sure. So sure enough, after 5 or 7 minutes, chauffeur comes back and they're getting the ticket. Right. And then the driver gets extremely upset. He's like, listen, I asked you, I told you to watch my bus. I will be in trouble. And the sales associate is like, I'm sorry too. I got distracted. There's 60 people here. Nobody speaks English. So there's a chaos. Nobody's happy. Everybody's screaming. And it's downtown London, right? So finally, the owner of the store comes out. He comes to the driver. He says, listen, give me your ticket. Give me your ticket. I'm going to go and pay it right now. And here is the good news. Because you already got the ticket, so you don't need to repark the bus, okay? So just stay here as long as you want. We're going to take care of this. Lee, do you want to guess how much money those tourists spend within 1 hour they've been at that store?
What in the world? I don't even know.
64,000 British pounds.
What?
64,000 British pounds, which is roughly about $90,000 US. Okay? So, and the question is, of course, would you spend $90 to get $90,000? Yes,
Yeah,
of course, the answer
think?
would be yes. But there is a bigger story here. Then they interviewed the owner, and he says, like, listen, we didn't just sell 64,000 pounds worth of high-end liquor, because that story is going to travel with their friends, their families, and the media was here, right? So it's actually going to be really, really good for our business. But the most important thing is this. Right? This was not actually good revenue generating activity, right, in the business sense. This is also a right thing to do, because when you come to my store, we treat you as a guest. It would be the same as you come into my house. If you don't have your house shoes, I will let you wear my own house shoes because you're my guest. This is the right thing to do, the right way to treat the customers. And, it just turned out to be great. So that story, and there's so many angles with this story, but I just got to share that one.
That is amazing, because this business owner really understood what he stands for, what his values are. But what surprises me, and I think it's inherent in companies with sales teams, is that he had obviously made it clear that sales associate would operate under those values of hospitality and generosity. It's like a work culture, right?
Exactly. So because that story will stay with this store forever, probably. And the idea is, and the gentleman even mentioned in his interview, when I'm not here, I want my sales team to act in that way. Kind of like we say, like, people like us do things like this. This is an automatic. You don't need me to control this. You come to my store, you're a guest, so we'll treat you as such.
And that was how they operated. And, so really your sales team is a reflection of the company values. And that is what drives it. In the end, in this story, it drove a pile of revenue for them, right? But don't you think that sales associate felt empowered to say, yeah, okay, I'll try and watch your bus? And he let the bus sit in front of the store, blocking the entranceway. But the values, the company culture overrode, and he allowed that guy to come in, use the facilities, and park his bus right in the middle, and it turned out good.
They even try to negotiate with parking people, but you know how they are, because once you get a ticket, you get a ticket.
Yeah, and so, that was a $90 well spent that owner did.
Very well spent.
Oh gosh, thank you for opening us with such a powerful story. Well, you're in sales. What do you love about sales, Ed?
Well, a lot of people actually don't know this about me, but I actually don't like sales.
What?
I don't. I've been doing this for 27 plus years, but the idea that you need to push and hard close somebody and kind of like coerce them against their will, it just never resonated with me at all. I don't know if you've seen this. There was that little red book of sales from Jeffrey G. Dahmer. And at some point, it was at every store in the airport. When I travel, I always seen that book. And there's one thing I loved in that book. This is what he said, right? People hate to be sold, but they love to buy. People hate to be sold, but they love to buy. And the moment I saw that, I said, I think this is the biggest secret in sales. And this is probably the biggest reason why sales is such a dirty word. So your job, and I would almost tattoo it on my forehead, and for every sales rep, your job is not to sell your product. Your job is not to sell your product or service. Your job is to help customer to make an intelligent decision and help them buy. Help them buy.
Help them buy. Yes.
Help them buy. Yes. And it's not about your sales process, because nobody cares about your sales process. To be honest, it's about facilitating buyer's journey. Facilitating and helping buyer's journey. And that's a key difference between successful salespeople and unsuccessful. Right?
Yeah.
So
Nobody wants to be sold to.
Yeah, but the people love to buy. And they also did this study recently, and I think they positioned it like this. Okay, when you're talking to your vendor, what makes a great vendor? And the universal answer was this: they tell me something I didn't know, but I should. Okay, tell me, educate me with something I didn't know, but I should. Be my quarterback. Allow me to see my blind spots. And if you do that, you will be my trusted advisor forever. Like I will continue, to buy from you forever, because you earn my trust. And I think this is the key when you're making a difference with the human approach, with storytelling, with whatever you're using. If you're helping them buy, you're safe. If you're trying to sell and close, then you're in trouble probably more than ever before.
That's right. That's right. That one little statement, that quote, that turned it all around, because why wouldn't we play to help people do what they want to do? I want to buy. That's why I land on your website. That's why I call you for your services. Clearly, I'm in the buying mode.
Yeah.
Wow,
just help me buy and understand me where I am. If I just started the buyer's journey, don't try to close me. Right? If I'm looking for product or solution, educate me on a solution or a product. Don't try to close me. And at the same time, if I'm ready to buy, don't tell me your biography, because at this point I don't care. I just want to buy the product and move on. Right? So so catch me at the right stage, and I will work with you.
Right.
Right. So I think this is one of the biggest discoveries I've seen, with working with sales team around the world. This is probably one of the biggest secrets. It's so simple, so obvious, but it's not easy. So that's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and you've clearly, since you caught that so early on, your whole career has been based on that foundation of finding a way to help people or not push selling. Yeah, that's brilliant. Well, what challenges do you see facing sales leaders today? We've had a lot of changes in the last year or two. And, it's a conundrum, because we can have all of the sales techniques and you bring that to the table. But what is really the big challenges?
Yeah, that's a good question. In the post-pandemic world, I see this thing constantly over and over again. We've been working with this client for over 4 years now. They have a large sales team, and we do this training every 6 months. And I come in, we sit down. I know all the people. They know me. All excited about storytelling, negotiations. So we're going to do live scenarios, latest techniques in objection handling. And then there's a silence. Silence. I made no impact whatsoever, right? And I know them. I know how good they are. And so finally I said, guys, what's going on? I said, Ed, we're just tired. We're just tired. We're not excited about anything, because last year and a half, it's been a nightmare. And what we literally had to do on that training, spend 2 days on the mindset, just solid mindset, sales, mental fitness work, before I can even mention sales performance or objection handling techniques or closing, right? Because people just tired, frustrated as never before. And the study been done, as bad as pandemic was, but 52% of salespeople are looking to change their jobs right now. Wow. 52%, as high as unemployment is right now, right? So 52% are looking to move. So that tells you how much stress is in the society right now, and especially with salespeople.
Yes, it does.
So for me, probably for sales leaders would be right now is to recognize that if your team is not in the right mindset, there is absolutely nothing you can do. Nothing. As entertaining as you can be, or as pushy as you can be, you got to get them in the right mindset before you can do anything. And, in our trainings, we use a lot of positive intelligence work. And it's a very simple framework that we have two sides of the brain. There is the sage and then there's a saboteur. So saboteur brain is connected to our survival brain, which is 2 million years old. And it basically means that, in times of stress, you're either going to fight or flight. That's only your two basic responses. And you could never move to sage, to the creativity, finding new solutions, excitement, and if you stay in that side of the brain. So the biggest challenge right now is how to move people from a survival brain to creative brain, because that affects everything. Like whatever you do after that is just tactical. That probably would be the answer to your question. What is the biggest challenge? We see over and over
That
again.
is the foundation of everything. I think personally and professionally, your mindset, but specifically in sales, there's no way. Now, I did attend your mental fitness for sales workshop, and I learned so much about how I sabotage my own, just because of my personality, my archetype. So that was super helpful in seeing what is it, the hypervigilant, overachiever, and the hypervigilant, stickler, and pleaser. I mean, how can I win if I'm in that dark place? I have to know how to shift my brain from that sabotage to be creative, to unleash. And now your sales team could be excited about learning these other things.
Yeah, absolutely. And those things you mentioned, there's 10 of them. They're called saboteurs, which are like 10 separate personalities which live inside the brain. Right? And all of us have the predominant ones. And a lot of salespeople, for example, are pleasers, right? So this is our greatest strength. We want to delight the customer. We want to help them. We want to only get excited. But guess what? Your pleaser is also your biggest enemy, because you're a pleaser, right? So you're afraid to challenge a customer. You're afraid to ask them challenging questions, which in the end will help them, because you're all about the relationship. Same thing goes for hyperachiever, which happens to be myself. Like I have that personality, right? And it's really bad during negotiations, because for me, okay, like, can we get it done? Can we get moving? But the customer may not be in that state of mind, get it done. So they need a little bit more work, a little bit more time, right? So, and then you think that everything you achieved was because you're hyperachiever. It's not true. It's a lie, which in essence going to hurt you, because like we're just saying that your saboteurs give you breadcrumbs instead of bread.
Yeah.
Right? So recognizing those little personalities and knowing how to work with them, not against them. So is one of the most critical parts.
Well, after that workshop, I had so much more confidence. It gave me confidence after that workshop just to understand my nature. And I mean, doesn't confidence play such a big role in sales?
Yeah, absolutely. So confidence is everything. If you absolutely know what you're doing and it's the right thing, kind of like the owner of that store I mentioned. So I know it's the right thing to pay the parking ticket of the customer. You don't need to think about it. It's an automatic. Then it gives you confidence. If you do this, you will get results like this. Because like, look, the sales process is very simple. We talk about 5 pillars. So like, get your mind right? So that's the first step. Then understand your buyer, because before you tell your stories, you need to understand who is in front of you and like what state of mind they are. Then tell a story which will inspire action. And then, of course, I don't care how good storyteller you are going to run into objections, right? So like, I'm not a decision maker, call me back in 6 months, we don't have a budget for it. You need to know how to deal with these objections. And once you deal with them, then and only then you move to negotiation and closing. Because what you don't want to do is you start talking price and then they tell you, well, I'm not a decision maker. There's 4 people
that would be
involved in this, right? Oh, I'm not exactly right. So, I'm not sure that process is gonna work for us. We're different, right? So, like all of this has to be addressed at the objection stage before you move to negotiation. So here you go. There's 5 steps But if you follow them logically one after another, there's absolute certainty that you will close the deal and it will be closing. It will be helping people, which what I like. Right?
Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm. And, listening, we've talked about how important listening is before, and I find that fascinating how you speak about aggressive listening. Can you expand on that a little bit for our listeners?
Yeah, like it actually comes back from my father. He told me, listen, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so shut up. Okay? So as simple as that. But in our present society, I think attention is the greatest gift you can give to anybody. Because everybody likes to talk, especially salespeople. And funny enough, there's a company called Gone.io. So they listen to all sales conversations and then they run statistics through AI. And here it is. So salespeople who only speak for 30% of the time close 70% of the deals. Vice versa, than people who actually speak for 70% of the deals close only 23% of the deals. So think about it. So you're actually doing less work, but you're getting 5 times better results. Why wouldn't you want to listen? Because this is the greatest gift you can give to your customer, to your prospect, and it also, like, it's very simple. Like what I teach, just take a piece of paper and write down what they tell you. Just write down, and then you read back. Just simply read back. Okay, so please help me understand. Did I get this right? And you know what? I never get this right. Never. They always tell me, Ed, this is not what I said. This is not what I meant.
No way.
Thank God I ask, right? Because that little technique is not only showing respect and giving that gift, it's also a great insurance policy.
Yeah.
Because this is how you safeguard yourself. That, okay, like, I want to make sure I got this right. So, like, we're very big on aggressive listening. As simple as it sounds, probably one of the most profound things and gift you can do for your customers is to simply listen.
That's beautiful.
Simply listen.
And you know what? You may end up hearing some of the objections you're going to get to in pillar 4 ahead of time, as you're listening. So maybe you can head it off at the pass, or at least anticipate.
Yeah, one of the techniques we teach is something called preemptive strikes, which basically you anticipate an objection and you go straight there. If you know somebody has to switch a carrier, there will be costs for canceling a contract. Instead of avoiding this conversation and waiting for the last second, you say, listen, I understand you might incur some costs. Can we talk about this?
Oh, you just call it out. You just call it out right then instead of being in denial, right? It's like, and then you do the proposal, and then you already knew it. I mean, I just think
it's going to cost us $20,000 to cancel. Well, guess what? You just killed 2 months of work.
Yeah.
Right? But by simply asking that question, preemptive strikes are very powerful. Try to anticipate the objections ahead of time.
Yeah. Well, I do, the art of storytelling is so beautiful. You're a master storyteller. What does storytelling actually mean to a master storyteller who's been telling stories for his whole life?
Well, here is the thing. I do believe that storytelling is probably one of the few rare magical things left in this world, right? Because think about it. How can you get a human attention? In the year 2000, the average human attention span in North America was what? 12 seconds, right? 12 seconds. That's before mobile revolution, before iPads, before iPhones.
Yeah.
In 2016, we're down to 8 seconds. 8 seconds of attention. And I think about a month ago, Facebook released a study that during pandemic, we lost another second. Mm-hmm. So we're down to 7 seconds of attention. As a comparison, the attention span of the goldfish is around 9 seconds. So I'm not kidding. Microsoft did this study, and I don't know how they measured the attention span of the goldfish. It's still a mystery to me. but they wanted to know how much time people spend on the web pages. Mm-hmm. And this is what they get. So goldfish 9 seconds, humans 7 seconds. So with that little attention, so your message has to be really, really good and compelling, brief and to the point. And I don't know of any other tools than the story, a good captivating story, which can attract people, because if you get a good story, people want to know, tell me the story. What's happening next? Who are the characters? Just, look, why we're watching Netflix? Because they're one of the best story writers in the world. So it draws you in. So which I think it's beautiful, beautiful art. And it's probably one of the most lost arts. We're losing that art. So if you have 7 seconds and you don't have story, it will be very, very difficult to get anybody's attention. Mm-hmm. So that's what storytelling means to me.
We see that all the time. You'll have 3,000 words on a home page instead of 30,
Yeah.
And so it's just too much. But story will turn ahead every time. When somebody says once upon a time, it's just like, oh, what's going to happen next, isn't it?
Yeah, what's going to happen? It still works. It's probably the oldest magic trick of all times. But you see, humans speak at the rate of about 150 words per minute. And at the same time, our mind can process words with around 750 words per minute, which leaves us with about 600 words of kind of space. Nobody knows what it is. Right, because the audience focuses will drift if you don't captivate their attention, because they think they have, an ample space to think about things. Oh, what about my kids? What I'm gonna do later? Pick up. Oh, where is my phone? So people think about all kind of things. If there's no story, there's no attention. So I've learned it many times, and particularly in sales, it's becoming more and more important.
Yeah, so attention is a really, really big thing, even just listening and attention, grabbing the attention and keeping it of our audience. Yeah. Ed, this has been so great. I always love talking to you. You always give me pearls, and I've got more now. Is there anything else you'd like to add? How can our listeners learn more about you and your innovative approach to sales?
Well, absolutely. We would love to help out. The best way is probably LinkedIn, where everybody is. So Ed Bilat, I'm the only Ed Bilat in the world. Look me up. And here is a challenge. When you're connecting with me, instead of putting a blank or any kind of generic message, just put confidence in your connection. Just put one word, confidence, and then I will know exactly where you're coming from, and you will be my distinguished guest. So how about that? There you go.
The Confidence VIP tribe.
That's right. So the Confidence VIP. But by all means, so it's been a pleasure. So great to see you. Love the work you guys do, and especially in the storytelling space, which is near and dear to my heart. So absolutely happy to support you in any way I can.
Thank you so much, Ed, and we look forward to having you back again. It's just always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for tuning in to Business Leaders with Soul. We hope you enjoyed this discussion into the mind of one of today's authentic thought leaders. We'll be back with another powerful perspective in the next podcast, so be sure to subscribe to get notifications and please share with others. You can connect with us by following Soul Story Creative on LinkedIn or by visiting soulstorycreative.com, where we don't tell you who to be, we show the world who you are. We look forward to seeing you next time.